everyone. I'm Mrs. Gardner. I'm in social studies, and I'm here to talk about tip number 14, the ultimate roommate. I graduated from Penn State. That's where I went to college. So I'll be sharing my roommate stories with you at the end. So today's tip is respect each other's differences and make rules before you need rules. So going to college is one of the most exciting things that you can do in your life. It's your time for independence and so forth. And setting up your room and doing all those cool things is one of the things that makes it so great. You know, picking out your containers and your comforter and all of your pictures that you're going to put on your wall and your pillows and all that. But what makes going to college and a roommate different than a lot of other situations? So you can see that top picture, and there's a lot of pictures you'll see, that's pretty typical of a college room, an 8x8 room, and you are there with a stranger. Even if you've talked to them over the summer, when I went to college, we did not know our roommates at all. We met them when we walked in the door. So you guys are pretty lucky that they do have these situations where you kind of can talk to your roommate ahead of time and at least know what their name is, because I didn't even know what my name of my first roommate was. The assumption that a lot of people think is that you need to be best friends and that you need to get along 100% of the time, and that's really not, plausible. Not even with people that you know. Everyone disagrees, even if you're best friends. The living situation could include a residence hall, an apartment, a house, even at your own home, fraternity and sorority houses as well, even as you go through each year of college. You can be great roommates and you don't need to be great friends, but being a good roommate is going to make your college experience much easier. So how do you learn to live with someone who is different than you and you may not even like? So remember, both of you have college in common. So find common things to talk about that you're both going through. Be interested in what they're into, or listen, at least be open to listening to what they have to say, or what they're interested in. That will go a long way with showing respect for each other's differences. And the more you can play a part in that, the better. Definitely create room rules. If you have a conflict, you need to work it out as soon as possible. And try not to take everything personally. Everybody's just trying to adapt to that first living experience. And so you just need to sort of roll with it and be a little bit more flexible and don't take things so personally. So let's talk about how to reduce conflict and the idea that I just talked about, which is developing room rules. So you want to talk about things like smoking in the room, even drug use, drinking, those kinds of things. Drinking's not allowed in most places except if you're in an apartment, but you want to talk about those things that make you feel uncomfortable. Overnight guests, and those are strangers, or that you're, in that 8x8 room, like that's it can be a very uncomfortable situation. Sharing food, cleaning, because again, you're in an 8x8 room, so sometimes you're going to be doing things and the other person's going to be studying, so that space is really, really small. And the stuff that you have, if you look at the pictures in the slide right here, the guys at the top, one of them has his sweatshirt sort of on the wall. Like, you need to establish, okay, can I have this wall? Can I have this wall? And this is going to be my space and this is going to be your space. Even the bed, the sides of the bed, you may want to wait until the person gets there, or talk to them over the summer. Like, do you like a top bunk? Do you like a lower bunk, in case we have, that's our situation. Like, those are the things that can really start somebody off on the bad foot if you just kind of break in there and take it over and don't try to compromise and talk to them ahead of time. You definitely want to talk about study time and what that looks like. If they're doing things that are loud while you're trying to study. And also bedtime, it's kind of like something natural that kind of comes about, but you might want to just say, what time do you normally go to sleep? I can remember I made one of my roommates really mad once because I stayed up really late trying to finish a paper, and my computer screen was on. None of the other lights were on, but she was just like, "Oh my gosh, please go to bed." So anyway, it was. You have to be respectful of the other person and what their habits are. How to reduce conflict? It's definitely you need to talk beforehand. If you're able to contact your roommate before the fall, then you should come up with and try to agree to the following rules. Roommates who want to get along will find a way to get along. Roommates are not required to be friends, although that's a bonus. You know, you don't need to be friends with them. I would suggest even finding friends in other places so you don't have to rely on your roommate so much, you know, to be that person. So you're not alone. And number three, all roommates must agree to the following, the uncomfortable rule. And I'll go over that in just a second. But just think of the percentage there that almost 50% of students report that frequently or occasionally they have difficult getting along with roommates. So it is something to really consider and to figure out how you might do that so that your living space is more comfortable. So what is the uncomfortable rule? So you guys can talk about a rule that says if something makes any roommate uncomfortable, there's something that's bothering you, that roommate must talk to the other one about the problem face to face. No texting and no Snapchat. You have to learn to communicate face to face within 24 to 48 hours, or you never talk about it again. You kind of let it go. So it's up to you if something's bothering you that within 24 to 48 hours you bring it up. Otherwise, you're going to have to just let it go. Note though, if there's something really uncomfortable, something you know, where it could be illegal or you know, sexual in nature or whatever it might be, if it's something that uncomfortable, you need to talk to your RA. If you're living in a residence hall, talk to your RA for the best approach. Go to you know, a parent and talk to them to see if you can move out of an apartment and move somewhere else. But if it's something really you know, uncomfortable, then you have to take care of yourself. So this is just for like little things and so forth. Developing the uncomfortable rule can come before you actually move in. So before, you know, during that contact before the fall, you know, just kind of mention and you're talking about it like, you know, I really have some concerns about living with somebody new. What about you? You know, sort of, you know, have this sort of give and take and talk maybe about one or two things, not a list of things, because then you become that person that's very like, you know, rigid, but one or two things that you're kind of, you know, concerned about. And that kind of tests the water to see how that person would respond. Are they more or less agreeable with those kinds of things? And if you see that they're like, well, you know, it's your problem, not mine, then you kind of know what you're getting into. And you might be able to change roommates depending if you're, you know, kind of testing the waters and you don't, you know, you can see that person's not as agreeable. But also, you know, then you would actually get some, you know, idea that they are agreeable and it may make you feel a little bit better. For instance, if you're talking about the smoking in the room issue, you could blame it on allergies, you know. You know, I'm really concerned about, you know, anybody smoking in the room. I have really bad allergies, you know, those kinds of things. Strange people spending the night, just blame it on your parents. They would freak out, you know, that kind of thing. Not getting enough sleep, blaming on not wanting to fail, you know, those kind of things. My parents will kill me if I get bad grades, whatever it is. You know, you can use other ways to sort of bring up those things and see if how that agreeable that person is before you walk in the door. Okay, so things to think about finally is when you don't want to get along and you are complaining and gossiping to other friends or family or whatever about your roommate, then you are 51% of the problem. So you need to take ownership of how you are being a roommate as well. It can't always be the other person. Try. If you're not clicking, it's totally fine, but at least try. This is a really good exercise in being purposeful in your mindset to meet new people and to embrace the differences of others, even if the person is not reciprocating. Be receptive too if your roommate talks to you about something they're bothered with. Don't get defensive. You know, this is a living situation and we all have different perceptions about how that will go. And so you can't denounce the feelings that they have. You have to really talk to them and say, wow, I'm really sorry that you felt that way. Let's talk about it. You know, that's all it has to be. Maturity when you get out of high school and get into college and when you're in this roommate situation and anything, and good communication is the key. But maturity is a big thing, you know, getting over the fact that somebody might be upset with you and not being reflective of, I really didn't think I did anything wrong, and getting defensive is not going to make that living situation any better. So when I went to college at Penn State, I decided to go my freshman summer. So right after I graduated, the day after I graduated, I actually went to Penn State and took like 3 classes, and it was really great because I was on a floor of all girls that were in the same situation. I walked in and met my roommate Amy, who is from Pennsylvania. She was great, really laid back. I had friends, she had friends, but we all hung out too on the floor, so we sort of bonded. So if you have a situation where you're really apprehensive about going to college and meeting new people, even doing like a summer program and living there ahead of time before all the mass of people come is really great because you can meet a small group of people. And that's exactly what I did. I met somebody, and we decided to be roommates for the freshman year. And I knew her, so which was great. So we moved in all of our stuff up to the new room, went home for the few weeks, and then came back for the fall. And when I came back for the fall at Penn State, the main campus, it's a lot of people. It's almost 100,000, and so it was massive amounts of people that I had not, experienced, but I knew the campus, I knew where to go, and so I felt a lot more comfortable. In living with my roommate Lori, she was from Chicago, and we got along great at the beginning, and then for some reason something happened, and she was either upset with me or whatever it was, and she didn't really talk to me about it, and I didn't know what to say, and I was kind of just trying to be nice to her and whatnot. And I finally, like, got a little, quiet with her, and we really didn't talk that much. And then I decided, said, you know what, I'm going to, sort of take control. I don't know what's wrong with her, but I feel like I can't talk to her. So what I did was I just was super nice to her. And I used to leave little notes. We have little pads outside the door that we used to leave out there so people could write notes to us when we were, out for the night or whatever, or, out for the day, and somebody just wanted to tell us something. So I would write her little notes like, "Have a great day, Lori. Hope your classes were good today," whatever it was. And eventually she just came around, and whatever was bothering her sort of went away. But what I did is I took control of my own ways that I could be a good roommate, and I was just really positive. And I think that's a really mature way of handling that, instead of just getting really defensive and talking to my friends about her and things like that. I just didn't do that. I didn't waste my energy. My other roommates were all my sorority sisters at Penn State, and I always lived with really great people that all had like sort of the similar kind of living situation. So really, otherwise than that, you can have a really great roommate situation where you really can sit and talk and have fun together and actually go out together and do all kinds of things and so forth. So it's not always bad, but if you ever have a difficulty, then you'll have some strategies to actually, get through it and make it a positive experience. All right, guys, good luck with everything. Bye.